All right, cliffhanger, right? Oh my God. Everything's soft and sweet, and then ambulance comes in. What the heck? I'm Jim Halterman. I'm the West Coast editor of TVFanatic. I also write for thebacklot.com, as well as Xfinity TV's LGBT site. So hello, thanks for coming. What'd you guys think of the episode? All I know is that little girl Tasha, get her a development deal. She was amazing. Let's bring out the cast. So we've got a lot of fun people here that you just saw in the episode, so we're going to ask them lots of fun questions. Let's start with David Lambert, who plays Brandon. Danny Nucci, who plays Mike. Teri Polo, who plays Stef. Her on-screen better half, Sherri Saum, plays Lena. We've got Jude himself, Hayden Byerly. And last but not least, Cierra Ramirez, Mariana. Now you guys just watched this for the first time, right? None of you have seen it.
No, first time.
Oh my God, did you guys cry? Because I got a little weepy watching it.
It was so fun. It was so fun. I love Annie Potts.
Pretty fantastic.
Oh my God, I love Annie Potts.
Great. Well, I want to ask first of all, since this was the holiday episode, who is kind of nuts for the holidays? Because we're kind of in that time zone now.
That house, those houses, they look like my house right now. Before
Teri
Halloween.
actually did the
Before
designing.
Halloween. Thanksgiving.
Well, when did you guys actually shoot the episode? What time of year was it? Was it like middle of summer?
August?
No.
David's like, it was 112 degrees when I was wearing that sweater.
Yeah, I was pointing out, every time I was in that sweater, it was probably like in the 90s, because we were shooting in like Burbank and around, areas like that. And
Yeah, the end of August, beginning of September, right?
yeah, September, I think.
Well, let me ask, that's actually a good actor question to start with, because sometimes you have to do these scenes, and it's not holiday season. And how did you guys get?
Oh,
into
it's
the
so
time
tough.
frame? How'd you get into the mindset of just these are the holidays?
You saw that set, didn't you?
Yeah.
With the yard, it's hard not to.
I guess if you weren't in the mood before, the episode, then we definitely were after doing
You're
the
in the
episode.
mood every day.
It puts you in the mood when it's dressed like Christmas. You get the Christmas tree and all the decorations. It really does feel like Christmas.
Okay, awesome.
I mean, quite honestly, you've got hair and makeup people there to, pat you down and make you look like you're not sweating. Like
Totally.
You actually are.
And it was the first episode back from our hiatus, so it was kind of nice to be with the family again, kind of like a family reunion, and it was like perfect for the holidays.
Hayden, I want to ask you, going back in time a little bit for the Christmas part of the episode. Okay. Back to it was the first Christmas that Jude and Callie were with the family. Was that even an adjustment for you to kind of go back into that time set, because so much has happened since then?
Yeah, kind of. It was kind of difficult because that was before Jude was adopted, and where we were after Jude's adoption. So it was a little bit interesting. You kind of had to go back into that mindset where both Callie and Jude, or actually no, Jude was adopted, right? Yeah, I think Jude was adopted. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Look at me.
Yeah, no, I mean it wasn't super different. It was don't make fun of me. I'm getting
Was
confused.
he or was he not, Bradley?
There's a lot of stuff. Hey, there's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was a little interesting. It's more difficult to get back into the holiday mindset than I think anything else. But no, it wasn't too difficult. I don't think.
Okay. I want to go back to before the show even premiered, because this was a show that did have a lot of buzz around it. People were kind of concerned how audiences were going to take it, because we had two lesbian characters leading this family. Kind of talk about, if anybody has something they want to share, just what you thought of that time, and were you concerned that maybe audiences wouldn't respond to it? Of course, that hasn't happened, thank God. But was that a concern of any of yours going into this?
I don't know, not really. I mean, I knew intellectually that it would be a kind of a groundbreaking such and such, but I know so many people with families that are different. I feel like everybody knows families that are different, so it's kind of like we should just be catching up. We should just be showing this like it's a reality. It feels hypocritical not to do that, So I wasn't very worried, and then I saw Teri Polo, and I'm like, hi. No, but I remember like our first photo shoot for the artwork for the show. We kissed for some photo, and someone was like, "Oh, you guys are so brave," and I'm like, "Have you seen this woman? Am I brave? Like whatever." I don't know.
I think like as an actor, like you want to be a part of things that are talking about subjects that aren't necessarily touched on in TV yet, and so catching the Fosters and being able to be a part of it at the time of when this show was coming out and when it was airing and all of that. I think for us was exciting and thrilling. I mean, you want to be on something that's relevant and things, topics that people are talking about today and haven't, really been talked about yet. So, a show like this hopefully presents those conversations to be had,
And I remember like starting out with like the 1 million moms. That was like the big thing. So when that came out, I knew we were onto something good.
Yeah, the 1 million moms, and I looked them up on Twitter, and they had 47 followers. I was like, 1 million moms, really? Not so much.
I think it was honestly just it was timely. It was time. It was a long time in coming, and I think that you said something about it being a reality show. I think it's a flippin' reality show, and I never, when I went in for it, I kind of felt I was going in for just a regular role. It didn't even strike me as being anything kind of different. It was just a good role. It was playing a mother. That was, wow, I could really sink my teeth into that because I was a mom, and the whole thing when we were shooting the pilot was, here's a family. Here's love, here's teenage angst, here's, even though we weren't married at the time, marital problems, here's a couple having problems, having issues, and, well, they just happen to be lesbian, but here's, and Jesus is having this problem, and that was the whole premise for the pilot was, this is a family for the year 2014 or 13 at the time, but, and one of my favorite stories was I got a purse for Sherri one weekend, and I took it in Monday morning, and I forgot it, and my daughter comes running down the driveway at 5 o'clock in the morning going, Mommy, you forgot your purse for your wife. And I thought, we're a part of a change. We're part of a change where my 6-year-old daughter that is, and we are part of this movement and part of this change, and it was time. It's time, and it is now. It just is.
They say when actors play spouses for a long time, they start to feel like spouses. Is there some of that with you too?
Why would you say such a thing? I don't understand.
We have the most ridiculous love for each other. It's just we love each other so much. But I'll tell you, there's a character that I can't talk about that I do not like.
Oh no. Okay, well that's future.
I'm right here, Teri. I'm right here.
No, I've been in the business for a really, really long time, and an actor for a really, really long time, and I don't like actors. I think we're all a bunch of selfish, self-centered babies. At least I am. And
Don't hold back.
And Sherri Saum is the first actress of either sex in this business that I have ever met and had such an amazing chemistry with and loved genuinely. She's a beautiful woman inside, obviously outside, but inside just is one of the kindest human beings I've ever known in my life, and so it's pretty damn easy to work opposite that every day.
It's disgusting. They're like giggling in the corner all the time, whispering in between shots.
Taking pictures of each other.
Like laughing and looking at each other's phones.
It's love.
No,
touching each other.
It is every bit of that, but in the very, very, very beginning, I never met Teri before, and she's full on, if you haven't noticed. She's full on, and I'm a little reserved, and so, but it's the most amazing thing because every single thing that I was ever thinking, I think, or anyone is ever thinking, Teri just says it. And we're all like waiting for it, we're all thinking it, looking at Teri like, say it, she's gonna say it. And she does, and she kind of is the voice for, us, and she's like, you can't not respect that. It's just, she's so honest. You never have to wonder what she's thinking.
Not at all, no.
No, those jeans don't make you like that.
Shut up.
A truthful person.
No.
It's a good quality to have.
It is,
I mean, it's not a bad. It's not like a brutally honest type truth all the time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay,
it is.
well, maybe every so often, but I mean, it's a good thing. It's
No,
a
we're
very
lucky
good
as a
thing.
Next
cat.
question?
We're lucky as a cat.
I'm enjoying this as much as they are.
I'm not.
The show. One of the reasons we love the show is there's so many emotional scenes that get us just as much as it gets you guys. I want to know, as actors, how challenging are those scenes? Whether it's just crying, or I know you guys are all very close, so you're very connected. But are those scenes challenging for you guys, even now that you've been doing this for a while?
There's no challenge when it comes to crying. Cierra Ramirez.
That's where I was gonna go. Just ask her. There's no challenge to her. This
I was
kid.
going to say, who's the best crier?
The writing is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
No,
Every take.
Like, no, honestly, like I have to say, Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley.
Bradley gets
Amazing. I genuinely am a fan of the show, so I love getting scripts, and it's so weird because every time I read them, like even if it's a dramatic scene, I'll just start bawling, and it's just I don't know, it just comes really easily because the writing is that beautifully done, and it's so real, and it's just so easy to get there. I don't know.
For her side, for her take, for her close-up, for her close-up, for his close-up, for his close-up.
She's unbelievable.
Sierra's just bawling.
I'm
camera.
crybaby in general
Awesome.
anyways, cry for
But she
everything.
gives, she gives what you see on camera is what she is giving us as well, so we're able to react to that.
I think we're pretty tuned into this show now to the point where I think it's inherently in us. Because I mean, even at our table reads before we're even doing the episode, it'll just all of a sudden get super intense and like super heavy, and like we're just reading it for ourselves, but we already are, maybe not fully going there, but we already have an idea of where the scene needs to go. So I think we just know at this point, and it's like this weird. I don't know, muscle that you work, and it gets easier to sort of be able to switch gears, and it's like a focus thing too. I don't know, I guess it's a weird type thing, but we all figured it out. I don't know, whatever works for us, I guess.
There's a bit of, I was telling this to Bradley earlier that some of the scenes that I had been shooting, that there's a kind of a strange crossover because we do have such an amazing, genuine, you hear about casts who just can't stand each other, and that is not the case on this set. Well, maybe for Danny Nucci, but
You're not alone.
I love this, man.
we love the Nooch. Can I tell them what you used to be on? Anyway, and
God bless this woman.
Did you know that Danny Nucci from Titanic? He was in Titanic. I didn't know that, and now I have like this weird, crazy crush on him.
Anybody that comes on set, any guest actor, anybody that... Did you know Danny was in Titanic? Like, hey, nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. Yeah, let's do the scene.
Come aboard.
Thanks, Teri.
Sherri said it this time. Anyway,
No one cares.
There's a bit of a... I care. There's almost kind of a bleeding over. There's a because we do genuinely care about each other so very much that I was working with Maya Mitchell today, and we were having some. There was you kind of run into where I just can't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't quite know where I'm supposed to be. What does this mean? What is all those lovely actor questions, and what's my motivation? Pizza. That's Sherri's motivation, and
I work for food.
donuts, and I said to her, it's just, what if you disappointed me? What if you disappointed Teri? What if you disappointed Sherri? What if you, said something or did something and it upset us? How would you feel about that? Now tell me, because, we help each other. How do I say this? I don't understand. We talk about understanding things a lot, and that really helps inform us as well. As how would I say this to Cierra? In fact, I do sometimes. I don't know about that outfit you're wearing. Not tonight, but on set sometimes I'm like, honey, that Instagram picture, I don't know. A little too much skin, honey. That's all I'm saying. And she gets really nervous.
But like Teri said as well, is that like Cierra when she cries, and whether it's anyone's close up or whether you don't see her at all, she's still very emotional in the scene, and you really feed off of someone else's energy. Like if they're giving you a blank expression and just reading it off the paper, it doesn't make for a good scene. You can't necessarily feel each other out and necessarily work with each other. So it really helps if someone else is into the scene as well, even if they're not on camera, even if they're off to the side, even if they only have a couple lines. It really does help if they're into the scene and they're very emotional with you.
That's great. Sherri, I want to ask you, you had some really emotional stuff in the first half of season 2. And, part of it's because, in real life you became pregnant. They wrote it into the show, but on the show it definitely went a different way. Talk about shooting some of those scenes, especially the mother episode. Because I know that had to been.
That was delirious. I thought I should call a car service to come get me after work because I just don't think I could drive home. I was like, it was exhausting. But again, when you work with people that you love so much, and Lorraine, who plays my mom, Lorraine Toussaint, like, just they carry you through it. And even when you're crying and these scenes are so crazy, and I'm thinking about my babies and all this craziness, we still laugh like till we pee all the time. Like, all the time. We're peeing all the time. I'm sorry.
Peeing and
I'm
laughing
being
and
real.
laughing. And
I'm peeing all the time. I don't know. I pee constantly because of these people with laughter.
I have a lot of mops. The PAs have a very hard job. There's actually a couple people behind Sherri at all times with a bucket, just in case.
But yeah, like, it's true. The hardest scenes just become so much easier to take because you have people that you just love and you laugh with so much. So it's not so bad.
Okay. Hayden, I want to ask you, we've talked about this before a little bit. Sexuality is a big part of the show, and they've touched on it with the Jude character, which I love how the show's handled it. Talk about how you, I guess, first just came to understand where Jude was coming from with this, and maybe if you want to tease if we're going to touch on that some more in the next half of the season.
I will definitely tease on, we are going to touch on that a lot the next half of the season. It's going to get very exciting. It's going to be very cool, and it's going to open a lot of doors open. It's going to open a lot of doors, and it's very cool. It's interesting, and it's one of those things where, sometimes it's hard to play someone who is questioning their sexuality, especially since I'm such a young kid that when I was younger, and I still kind of, I'm growing up, so I'm still figuring stuff out. I haven't had much time to figure it out. I'm still kind of, I still think girls have some cooties and stuff, so I still kind of stay away from that. But growing up, and when you figure that type of stuff out, it's difficult, and you're going through that with a character, and I feel like that you don't necessarily know ahead of time before they do. You figure it out just when they figure it out, because it's kind of a weird thing, but you are that character. They are you. So when they're going through those struggles and those difficulties and trying to figure stuff out, you're going through that with them, and you're experiencing that emotional roller coaster, whether you personally have figured out your sexuality or not. So it's very interesting, and it's very fun to portray that type of character who's experiencing that himself.
I would just like to say one thing, that Hayden happens to be the only adult on set. He says he's like a 60-year-old man in a 14-year-old boy's body. All of us are kids with on set, and Hayden's like, really? Well, the theory of relativity.
I love that episode where I'm trying to tutor you in math, and you're like, 4 times 8. I just Meanwhile, he probably wrote the book. It's really kind of sick and crazy.
So while girls have cooties, he's talking about the theory of relativity.
Yeah, that's why I'm off reading in the corner. I'm like, I'm not too much into girls. I'll read my books some more.
He goes to school. He likes to go to school. He likes to go to school.
He's on top of hours. He's on top of banking hours. It's like I gotta make sure that I have 2 more hours, and don't pull me. I'm studying.
My favorite thing is when I come to set and they're all sitting there looking at me like this. They're like, really?
Waiting for the minor.
Where'd you come from? School? Well, you didn't wait 20 minutes for you.
We're waiting for the minor again? Oh, my God.
David, let's talk to you about your character a little bit. And this episode has some really good stuff for you and Callie, and obviously there's much more to come because we're kind of at a nice little cliffhanger moment there. Talk about just that relationship, and it really seems like an impossible situation that Brandon and Callie are in. Can you talk about acting some of those scenes and, maybe tease what we're going to see?
Yeah, definitely. So, this episode's interesting because it's a flashback. So, you have the beginning and the end that takes place at our finale, essentially. So where Brandon and Callie are there is a very different place than the majority of the episode. So I guess in this episode particularly, it was interesting having to kind of rewind a little bit mentality-wise for Brandon and Callie because, the Vico stuff, it just happened. There was the dance stuff, if people remember from last season. So there was all that stuff. Brandon gets arrested, and it gets really crazy for them. So yeah, it was interesting having to go back and play at a time that is right after that very awkward kind of phase for them. So that was fun to play. And then in terms of what's to come, I think Brandon and Callie are going to continue to evolve just because they have to, more or less. And they have a true connection and a true care for each other. So I think the scenes that we have coming up, Maya and I, it seems like the overall theme is how we still do care for each other, regardless of what we can and can't do, regardless of how suppressed things may feel or whatever it may be. We still check in with each other and whatnot. So it'll be an interesting evolution. There's kind of an up and down sort of journey for them, but they do have a genuine connection. So that won't be able to, that'll always be there, no matter where they are, technically, as people.
Do you like that we haven't gotten a solid endpoint to that relationship yet? It seems to be, they're close, then they can't be close, and they are. Do you like that, or do you kind of wish we got to that where it's going to end?
I mean, I don't know. I like to think that they're still young, and I think, especially with intense crushes, there is an up and down thing going on, a bit of a push and pull or whatever you want to call it, with all sorts of relationships, whether or not it's dating or friendships or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's pretty real, honestly. I think the evolution of Brandon and Callie is what would naturally happen, for them. It'll be interesting to see where they end up, though, for sure.
The script comes out, and this is where we are now. That's for all the characters. That's what happens. You get the new script, and you go, oh, okay, all right, this is okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're finding this stuff out too. We don't know. We're an episode ahead, pretty much. Like when we're shooting, we're only about an episode ahead. So in terms of arc, we can't be planting many seeds unless they tell us. So we're interested too. We're curious.
Okay. Well, Danny Nucci, what can you tell us about Mike and these next episodes to come in January?
Nothing. I can tell you nothing.
Then I'd have to kill you.
I'd have to kill you.
Mike needs a little loving, good loving. He's had some stuff that's
Mike's got some issues. Mike will continue to have issues. He's working through them, and we will do it in front of all of you during the next episode, as the season progresses.
Father-son talks.
Yeah. It's Mike's place in the Fosters is evolving. I'll leave it at that.
You've got some good stuff coming, Nucci. Don't be all
stuff coming
modest and
listen,
vague.
I'm not at freedom to say what's happening storyline-wise.
You don't have to say what's happy story, but you got some good stuff.
Nucci. Those
Danny's line, his storyline in particular, is so under wraps. I mean, it's
very, very hush-hush.
Well, the reason why is because Danny doesn't get
forms
too
to
much
sign.
stuff, so he can't spoil any of it because then you'll have nothing new.
Yeah, he comes in, he works one day.
By the way, Danny and I are like best friends.
That's
I love him so much. We're great. It's all in good fun.
Danny comes in and works one day. And it's like, so you guys have a good 6-day week.
It's tough being me.
Cierra, I know I have an audience question asking if we're going to hear you sing on the show. Is that a possibility at all? Ever?
I have no idea. I mean, I think that would definitely be fun. Thank you so much.
She sings for us on the set all the time, and we record her and put it on Twitter and all that stuff.
Outrageous.
Sing. Come on, please. My daughter loves this.
Sing that song.
Well, I can sing another.
Sing.
Whatever.
Okay, sing something.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I love it though. Okay. Oh, I've got a man that's always late. Anytime we have a date, but I love him. Yes, I love him. So I'm gonna walk up to his gate, see if we can get it straight, 'cause I want him. Yeah, I intend to have him. I'll just ask him, is you is or is you ain't my baby?
That was awesome. That was awesome. I don't think I can follow it up with a question. I was going to ask you, though, I did want to ask you, where does Cierra end and Mariana begin? How close are you to your character?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, although I am 19, I still kind of feel like I am finding myself along with Mariana. She's 15. She's going through, you know, all of the teenage problems, and she's kind of going through an identity crisis. I'm not. I'm not as adventurous as she is. Like, I've never dyed my hair, never done anything like that. But I can really relate to her. She is a lot sassier than I am. I do wish I was as witty as she was. But I really enjoy playing her, and it's always so fun. I love seeing what she'll get into next. She's always, you know, up to something.
She is not sassier than you are, honey.
Oh, my hopes.
That's great. Well, I do have a bunch of audience questions. Thank you very much for everybody that put in questions. First one's from Zully. I don't know where Zully is. Zuli. There you go. For Sherri and Teri, lots of young people on Twitter look up to you. How do you feel about being role models?
Well, I don't know. I never really thought of it like that. I stayed away from social media. I absolutely hated it and wanted nothing to do with it. And then I finally got kicked and dragged and threatened into Twitter. And now I love it. And I love it. And I love so many people. And I'm like stalking Twitter accounts of 14-year-old girls in Austin. Like just, you know, there's like the best, the most fun. I feel so connected to people. I'm sorry, it's true. But I really feel really connected to people, and that's I'm very introverted, so it's brought a whole new level to my life, and I love to be able to influence people in a positive way and tell girls who maybe, you know, are going through stuff or unsure about things, you know, to give them maybe little bits of advice. It's such a crucial age, being a teenager, and it's so and I know I was a teenager, so you know, I hope I have some good wisdom to impart here and there. I hope.
Teri, anything you'd like to add?
You were dragged kicking and screaming. Right? Yeah, I did it for the show because I didn't really have much interest in doing it for myself because I have a hard time taking myself seriously anyway. So I did it for the show, and it was honestly one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. To touch so many people, and I mean, at that, you know, there are other mediums that you can do the same thing, but for whatever reason, it was to be able to touch all of these people at the same time, literally across the world, and to have them immediately talking to you and be talking back to them, and for so many people to be sharing their stories, which were stories of, I came out too, I need a hand to hold, I think you're great. Believe it or not, that makes my stinking day sometimes, you know, because as I've said on Twitter too, that, you know, I have tough times too. I have tough days too. And what I've learned over the course of my many years is to take challenges and to take hardships and turn them into challenges and things. And so I just try to share who I am and who my life is, or what my life is, with people, and they share their lives with me, and it's again this show and these people that are helping other people, and we're hearing about it right then, right there. It helps us. It warms our hearts and gives us motivation and gives us confidence at what we're doing and who we are, and so I think it's I think our fans are the best fans. We have amazing fans. The people that follow us are the sweetest, kindest. There's one or two nut jobs that I've, you know, said nothing to because the best response is no response. But the rest are incredible people. They're incredible people. It's just fascinating. So it warms our hearts as much as it warms the other people's hearts that reach out to us too. Yeah.
Nice. Louise, Michaela? Oh, Lois, okay. Okay. Question for Hayden. What inspired you to become an actor?
What inspired me? I I have an interesting story because I didn't necessarily always dream to be an actor. It wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to do when I was young, and I really focused on it and shot for that goal and really tried. It was something that I got.
He's 40. Don't kid yourself.
I was very lucky and was very blessed to be put in the position that I was put into. I went to a showcase event and I got incredibly lucky. I placed first place in my age group, and a whole bunch of managers and agents, I see you, invited me out to Los Angeles. Teri, Polo invited me out to Los Angeles, and they wanted me to try out for one of their agencies, and I went on my first audition and I booked it. And I got very lucky. And I'm very blessed. And I always say that because a lot of people try very hard to do this, and they don't get very far. And I feel like I didn't necessarily dream for this, and I got thrown into it. And I think that every day that I'm, again, very lucky and very blessed to be in the position that I am, working with such great actors and actresses, and being on such a motivational and inspiring show, that it's incredible to be in the position that I am. So I didn't have an inspiration to be an actor, but once I started, it kind of just hooked and I couldn't stop. So I hope that answers your question.
A scientist for NASA. Then you got hooked into acting. What's wrong with you?
I love it. We have a question from Barbara Modicure. Hi. Kind of for everybody, we can just run down the line here. The question is it weird looking at yourself on TV? Do you guys like watching yourself, or is it tough to watch yourself?
Dave.
To start with you, David.
No, it's honestly, it'll never stop being weird. I think there's always going to be like a percentage of you, doesn't matter who you are. I think it's always a little odd. I mean, it's not a natural thing to do. I think you can get used to it, and I think you can kind of callous yourself to the cringe factor of it all. But I don't know. I was broken of it. I took a class where they would film you on camera, and I did it with about 15 other kids. And then at the end of class, we would watch our individual tapes. So I did that twice a week for 2 years. So after that, nothing really. And then I did theater before that. So I don't know.
How about the rest of you? Danny, how about you?
I hate it more and more.
Yeah, it never stops getting weird.
I think it's interesting. I don't necessarily look at it as myself being on screen. It's Jude. It's not necessarily Hayden. So I think it's interesting to see someone, because I'm different from Jude. I'm similar in certain ways, but I'm more different than similar. And I think that seeing Jude on camera, it's looking at someone else. It's looking at someone else's life, and it's looking at someone else's family. Even though that I know all these wonderful, amazing people personally, seeing their relationship on camera is, in my opinion, a little bit different. So I don't think it's too weird, but it's odd to see yourself there on television in front of so many people while you're watching it. So, yeah.
I also think it's just, you have an idea of how you wanted it to go, or you were hoping it would go, and then you look at it and you're like, what was I thinking? Why? Why that? Why? Why did I say it like that? What was I, why? He was so good on the other side. Why did I do that?
These are all mental traps, really. These are all just...
I love watching myself on TV.
No.
Damn, girl. Looking good tonight. Okay. Oh, look at that side. Look at that side. Look at that hair. Oh, no wonder Sherri loves me.
Well, let's move on. For Marie Stinson, for a question for Cierra, what is your favorite episode from the Fosters? Do you have a favorite?
I do. It's episode 9. I don't know what it's called, but it's the one where you're in the hospital. Vigil.
There you go.
Virgil. I don't know. I'm a sucker for like the emotional ones, obviously. Aww. But I don't know. I love it.
When I asked her to marry?
Yeah. I just think like it just like brought us all together. Like, well, the family like on a different level. Like obviously, like they had never been through something like that together. And
oh gosh, and the scene.
No, yeah.
The scene that you guys had together outside the hospital. Oh, she's gonna cry now.
Tearing up. No, I just
Peter
I don't
Page
know,
is here.
Oh right, he could cry for all of us. No, I loved that episode, and I don't know. I find myself like going back on Netflix sometimes and just like watching all of the episodes.
So Cierra likes to watch herself too.
No. Guilty. No. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a fan of the show, so I'll find myself like actually this weekend I was like binge watching. They put season 2 up there, and I was like, I'm gonna hit it up.
Well, we do it for so long that everything kind of bleeds together after a while. So
Very
like
true.
you watch early episodes like from season 1, and it feels like it was years ago.
We don't even look like the same.
Yeah, no, it feels like it was years ago.
You were so tiny.
Yeah.
He was so much shorter than me, and now he's taller than me.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like 5 inches taller than Sierra, and I was like 3 inches shorter in the beginning. It was.
And his voice used to be like this. Hayden used to talk like this. Remember that, Hayden?
No, it was not that high. I mean, I didn't sound like someone from Alvin and the Chipmunks, all right? I mean, it was kind of maybe. All right, fine.
That's great. All right, well, we are out of time, but make sure to watch, if you want to watch this again, December 8th on ABC Family, and Season 2B starts in January on ABC Family. So make sure to watch. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everyone.